Elkanah had two wives. One was called Hannah and the other Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah had none. Elkanah loved Hannah, despite them not having children together. Peninnah was cruel to Hannah, mocking her for not being able to have children. When Hannah went to worship at the house of the Lord in Shiloh, Peninnah provoked her until she broke down in tears and would not eat. Her kind husband, Elkanah, would say to her, "Hannah, why are you weeping? Why don't you eat? Why are you downhearted? Don't I mean more to you than 10 sons?" One day, in her deep anguish, Hannah prayed by the entrance to the tabernacles, where Eli the priest was sitting. She wept bitterly and vowed, "Lord Almighty, if you give me a son, then I will give him to the Lord for the rest of his life, and no razor will ever be used on his head." When Eli saw her lips moving but not making a sound, he told her off for being drunk. Hannah replied, "I have not been drinking wine or beer. I was pouring out my soul to the Lord." Eli answered, "Go in peace, and may God grant you what you have asked." Hannah was no longer sad and went away and ate. God answered Hannah's prayer. In the course of time, Hannah became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She named him Samuel, saying, "I asked the Lord for him." In Hebrew, the name Samuel sounds like heard by God. Hannah kept her promise to God too. Once Samuel was weaned, she brought him to Eli and said, "I am the woman who stood by you praying for this child. The Lord has answered my prayer, so now I give him to the Lord to serve him for the rest of his life." They offered sacrifices and worship together. Hannah broke out in a prayer of thanksgiving to God. Eli began training young Samuel to serve God at the tabernacle. Eli's own sons were very disobedient and treated worshiping God with contempt. In contrast, Samuel obediently served God wearing his linen ephod. Each year, Hannah made Samuel a little robe and took it to him when she went with her husband to offer the annual sacrifice. One night, Eli was lying down in his own place. His eyes had become weak, and he could not see well. Samuel was lying down in the house of the Lord, where the Ark of the Covenant was kept. The Lord called Samuel, and Samuel, thinking it was Eli, replied, "Here I am." Samuel ran to Eli and said, "You called me?" But Eli said, "I did not call you. Lie down again." So Samuel went and lied down. The Lord called again, "Samuel." So Samuel got up and went to Eli. "Here I am, for you called me," said Samuel. But Eli answered, "I did not call you. Lie down again." The Lord called Samuel a third time. Once more he went to Eli. This time Eli realized it was the Lord calling the young boy. "Go lie down. If the Lord calls you again, say, 'Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening.'" So Samuel went and lay down again. The Lord came and called again, "Samuel, Samuel." Samuel listened as God told him he was going to punish Eli's sons for the wicked things they were doing. Eli and his family would not be allowed to continue serving God. Samuel was reluctant to share this terrible news to Eli, but Eli insisted. On hearing God's judgment, Eli responded, "Let the Lord do what is good in his eyes." Samuel grew up, and everyone in the land knew that Samuel had become a man of God. The Lord spoke to him, and through him, when Eli and his sons died, Samuel was God's choice to take over.